You thought you'd see it coming, but the storm, the real one, it doesn't send a warning, it doesn't care if you're ready, it just crashes in. The phone call in the dead of night that steals the air from your lungs. The betrayal from a hand you thought was safe. The diagnosis that renames your future. The struggle you prayed, you begged would pass you by. It shows up anyway. And in that moment, your strength isn't found in how loud you scream, but in the terrifying, deafening silence of how still you can stand when the entire world you built starts to crumble around you. Let that sink in. Pain has a way of stealing your breath, blurring your vision, shaking the very foundation of who you are. It lies to you. It tells you this is the end of your story. But hear this, and hear me clearly. Strength was never about the absence of pain. No. True strength is born right in the middle of it. It takes root in the dark, fertile soil of despair, when every logical part of your brain, every tired muscle, every weary emotion says you should give up. But your spirit refuses. You feel it, don't you? That stubborn ember that won't be extinguished. It rises when the tears won't stop, when your body is trembling, but you still wipe your face, you lift your chin, and you force one foot in front of the other. You may be exhausted to your very bones, but you are not done. You may feel shattered into 1,000 pieces, but listen to me. You are not defeated. You have fought too many silent battles, endured too many lonely midnights to let this single moment erase everything you've become. The world may not see the war you've weathered. They see the calm face, not the hurricane inside. But there is something inside you. A force, a fire, a divine spark that no failure, no fire, and no force on this earth can ever put out. You are stronger than this moment. You are. Now is the time to remember who you are. Not the broken version life is showing you, but the warrior who has always lived within. There comes a point when you've cried every tear you thought you had. When you've sat in the silence so long you can hear your own heartbeat echo in the dark. A lonely drum against the void, and in that quiet space, a question rises from the ashes. What now? Think about that. That is when purpose begins to speak, not loud, not flashy, not trying to be heard over the scream of the pain, but steady, a low, resonant hum in your soul. Pain screams, but purpose whispers. And most people miss that whisper because they are too caught up in the symphony of what hurt them to remember the melody of what drives them. You don't find strength just by white-knuckling your way through. You find it in the pivot. You find it when you stop asking, why me? And you dare to start asking, what now? This is where you decide, right here, right now. Your purpose is not destroyed by pain. Often it is only revealed through it. The thing you thought was breaking you may actually be the very thing shaping you, carving you out for something greater than you ever imagined. But only if you stay anchored, only if you choose to let your life mean more than your wounds. Pain speaks in a loud, convincing voice. It tells you you're done, that you're stuck, that you are simply not enough. It shows up wearing the masks of shame, fear, and regret. And if you don't have something deeper, something immovable holding you steady, pain will take the lead. And pain always leads to the pit. But purpose leads to power. You have to decide, will what broke you define you, or will it refine you? Do not, I beg you, let a passing moment of suffering erase the lifetime of potential that lives within you. The real enemy of your purpose isn't your weakness. It is forgetting the fire in your eyes when you began. Real strength is not proven when everything is easy, when the sun is shining and the path is clear. It shows up when the storm hits, when the winds are howling and you are still standing. Even if you are shaking, you are still standing. There will be seasons when you are the only one who understands your vision. Days when even you start to doubt it. That is when you must remind yourself, this is bigger than how you feel right now. Feelings come and go, pain fades, Purpose remains. It holds you when motivation leaves. It keeps your head above water when your heart feels heavy, when it feels like it's made of stone and is pulling you under. You are not waking up every day just to survive. You are waking up to become someone who leads, who inspires, who leaves a dent in this universe. That requires grit, that requires pain, that requires lonely nights, hidden tears, and silent battles fought where no one gives you a medal. But it also brings a peace that passes understanding. It brings a fire that comfort could never offer. It brings a clarity that only comes from staring into the abyss and refusing to blink. When your life is anchored in purpose, the wind may shake you, but it cannot break you. I know some of you are carrying heavy things, burdens you've held for so long, they feel like part of your bones. You've grown accustomed to the weight. But listen closely. Your pain is not who you are. It is part of your journey, but it is not the destination. Don't get so tied to what hurt you that you miss the glory that is ahead of you. If you stay stuck in the pain, you will live it over and over. It becomes a familiar prison. But if you root yourself in your purpose, the pain will not drown you. It will drive you. Every scar you carry has meaning, not just because of what it cost you, but because of what it taught you. If you are brave enough to look closely, you will see that your scars are not weakness. They are proof. Proof that you survived what tried to take you out. And that is power. When life cuts deep, and it will, you get two choices. Just two. You can bleed out in bitterness, or you can bind that wound with belief. Belief in your future. Belief in your purpose. Belief that this moment is not where your story ends. You have been through too much to quit now. And if no one else has told you today, let me be the one. Hear me clearly. There is still something in you worth fighting for. You have a gift. You have a light. And even if it is dim right now, flickering in the gale force winds, it is not gone. It just needs your care. It needs your protection. Don't you dare let the darkness convince you that your light was ever a lie. The very presence of that darkness is proof your light is real, and that something is terrified of it, trying desperately to silence it. But you were never meant to stay quiet. You were made to shine. People won't always get your path. Some will walk away when you're at your lowest. Some will laugh at the dreams you're chasing because they are too afraid to chase their own. Let them. Their approval is not your purpose. Their acceptance is not your foundation. You have to reach a place in your spirit where you stop waiting for permission to live with intention, because the longer you wait for validation, the more power you hand over to people who never walked through your fire. They didn't stay up with you in the midnight hours when quitting seemed easier than holding on. They didn't hear your silent cries. They didn't see your breaking points, and they don't get to decide what you're capable of. Purpose isn't handed to you by others. It was placed in you long before you knew what the word even meant. And if it was placed there by something greater than you, then nothing outside of you can take it away unless you allow it. Every single day is a chance to choose who you are and who you are becoming, because often the greatest fight is not with the world outside. It's the one between the broken version of yourself and the one that's rising. You'll want to retreat, to hide, to numb the pain and forget the dream. But comfort never grows anything of significance. You weren't made to stay safe. You were made to be significant. So when fear shows up, and it will, you don't run. You stand in it. You breathe through it. You fight, not with fists, but with faith, because your purpose is more important than your fear. That's where strength begins. Not in being fearless, but in taking the next step while your hands are still shaking. You might feel afraid. That's all right. Be afraid and keep walking. Be unsure and still move forward. Just don't stop. Pain will challenge you. It will demand an answer. It will peel back the surface and expose what's real. That's not a punishment. That's preparation. The next level of your life won't arrive wrapped in comfort. It will come through pressure, resistance, and moments that stretch you to your absolute limit. But don't mistake that pressure for punishment. What feels heavy today might be the very thing forging the strength you'll need for tomorrow. Purpose always comes with a process, and most people give up halfway because they were sold a lie that strength should feel good. But strength is not a feeling, it's a choice. It's showing up when you feel empty. It's staying in the fire when the heat is unbearable, because you understand that in that fire something new is being formed, something stronger, something purified. You can't skip that, you have to walk through it. Purpose doesn't wait to be discovered while you sit still. It's found in the pursuit. It needs you to be present. It demands a mindset that says, no matter what comes, I'm moving forward. That's strength, not loud, not attention-seeking, just steady, just real. There is a quiet, unshakable power in someone who simply stubbornly refuses to quit. They may bend, but they will not break. Because their foundation isn't built on the applause or approval of the crowd. It's built on meaning, and meaning keeps you grounded when everything else feels like it's fading. If your fire is low, return to your why. Go back to the beginning. Go back to the version of you who believed with a wild, untamed heart before life taught you to doubt. That flame is still there. It just needs your permission to rise again. So when the darkness comes, and it will, you face it. You look it in the eye and you tell it that it won't have the final word. Not today, not ever. You let yourself feel the pain, but you don't let it lead you. You carry the wisdom, not the shame. If you have to bleed, bleed. If you have to cry, cry, but never stop, because you know who you are, and you know why you're here. You are not defined by what you lost. You are defined by what you choose to become. And every time you wake up and choose strength, you take one more step toward the life that was meant for you. Every setback is setting up your return. Every rejection is making space for the right yes. Every delay is part of something greater unfolding. You might be shaken, but you are not removed from your purpose, because you are rooted. You are grounded. You know who you are, and that is enough. But what happens when the storm outside is gone, and the only sound left is the war inside your own mind? The battle is about to change. You've survived the storm, but now you're left alone in the silence. And that's when you hear it. The voice. There is a voice inside you that no one else hears, a private narrator of your life, and let me tell you, that voice holds the most power over your destiny. Not because it's always right, but because you believe it without hesitation. You know it's true, right? It's the first thing you hear in the morning and the last thing at night. It tells you what's possible. It hisses what you're worth. It defines who you are. And here is the terrifying truth. If you don't guide it, it will guide you. Left unchecked, that voice becomes a broken record, echoing every fear you've ever felt, every failure you've ever endured, every lie you were ever told. Think about that for a second. It will replay the moment you were humiliated in front of a crowd. It will resurrect the betrayal that left you breathless. It will point to the scars you still carry and call them proof of your weakness. And if you're not intentional, you will slowly, quietly begin to live a story written by pain instead of one authored by purpose. You cannot afford to let your inner voice run wild, because if you don't check it, you'll start to believe it. And once you believe it, you'll start to live like it's true. Most people aren't defeated by what's happening around them. They are defeated by what's happening within them. The real battle is not on the outside. The real war is in the mind. And if that voice in your head is filled with doubt, comparison, insecurity, and shame, then everything you do will be filtered through that toxic energy. You'll push away good things, convinced you don't deserve them. You'll question love, certain it's a trick. You'll minimize your worth because you've accepted the lie that you are simply not enough. Ask yourself, when did you start accepting that lie? But hear this, and let it sink deep. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind those thoughts. You are the listener. You are the observer in the shadows of your own mind. And that means you have the power to hear that inner critic screaming and still choose not to follow it. You don't have to accept every lie your mind offers you. You wouldn't accept poison from a stranger, so why are you drinking it from your own thoughts? You can retrain how you speak to yourself, and this matters more than anything, because the way you speak to yourself is the way you lead yourself. Feel that? When your self-talk is toxic, your future gets trapped. You can dream of progress, you can visualize success, but if your thoughts keep dragging you back into the past, into the pain, you'll never move. You'll be an anchor tied to your own ankle. Every time you take a step forward, that voice will whisper, "Remember the last time? Remember how you failed?" Every time you begin to believe, it will bring up old doubts, past mistakes, the rejection that still stings. And unless you learn to talk back, you will stay stuck. You have to speak life over yourself, even when, especially when, everything inside you is shouting something else. You have to look in the mirror, deep into your own eyes, and call yourself strong even when you feel weak. You have to declare that you are worthy even when the world tries to scream otherwise. The words you speak over yourself, they shape the world you walk in. They are the architects of your reality, and it all starts on the inside. It doesn't matter how much support surrounds you, how many people cheer you on. If you don't believe in yourself, think about it. You can have opportunity, praise, and love all around you and still be paralyzed. If your internal dialogue keeps whispering, "You're a fraud, you're not enough." That voice you hear, it isn't the truth. It's a broken echo from a time you didn't know your worth, a time you were hurt, a time you fell, but you know your worth now. So stop. Stop letting old lies shape your future. It's time to take your voice back. You get to decide what lives in your mind. You are the gatekeeper. If it doesn't serve you, if it doesn't lift you, if it doesn't grow you, you have the authority to remove it. No more rehearsing past pain. No more playing out worst-case scenarios in the private theater of your mind. From this moment on, I challenge you to speak to yourself with the same truth, strength, and fierce love you'd give to your child, your best friend, someone you care about deeply. Would you ever tell them they are a failure? Then why are you saying it to yourself? And yes, it will feel difficult, awkward. For years, that inner critic has held the microphone. It became your default, always ready to sneer. "I told you so," the moment something went slightly wrong. But that critic wasn't speaking truth. It was just repeating what it knew. And anything repeated often enough can start to feel real, even if it was never true. The good news, the powerful, life-altering news, is that your mind can change. You can choose new thoughts. You can practice speaking peace, power, clarity, and courage. It might feel uncomfortable at first. That's not a sign you're failing. That's just your mind adjusting to a new, healthier operating system. Keep going. Build a new voice for yourself. Word by word, affirmation by affirmation, truth by truth. Pay attention to your tone. Is it kind? Is it firm but compassionate? Ask yourself, would I ever speak to my loved one the way I just spoke to myself? If the answer is no, something needs to change. You can't shame yourself into greatness. You can't tear yourself down and expect to grow. You need compassion. You need encouragement. You need grace. So give it to yourself. Be gentle when you fall. Be kind in your struggles. Be bold in your self-respect. Let the voice in your head become your coach, not your critic. Let it lift you instead of weigh you down. This isn't about lying to yourself. It's about speaking the full truth, not just the part that hurts. Yes, you have flaws, but you also have profound strength. Yes, you've made mistakes, but you've also overcome hell. Your inner dialogue can be your prison or your passport. If it's filled with fear and doubt, it will keep you stuck in a small gray room. But if it's filled with faith and hope, it will take you places you never imagined. I'm telling you right now, if you shift the way you speak to yourself, everything around you will begin to shift too. It's a law of the universe. People spend their entire lives waiting for external change, not realizing the power has been in their own voice all along. Speak peace and you'll live with peace. Speak strength and you'll carry power. Speak forgiveness and you'll finally be free. Your words are seeds. So what are you planting in the garden of your mind? Because whatever you keep watering in your thoughts will eventually grow in your life. Sometimes you have to get bold with it, not on the outside, but deep within. When that inner voice says, "You can't do this," you answer with, "Watch me." When it whispers, "You're not enough," you remind it, "I am chosen, I am capable, I am becoming." And when it tells you you're too late, you declare, "I am right on time for my destiny." This is not about pretending everything is perfect. It is about standing so firmly on the bedrock of your truth that nothing can shake you. You are not a prisoner of your past thoughts. You are the author of your present mindset. It is time to take back your narrative. Rewrite the way you speak to yourself. Take the microphone from the lies and hand it over to your purpose. Speak with intention. Speak with clarity. Speak with the confidence of someone who knows who they are and refuses to stay where they were. You do not have to wait until you feel strong to speak strong. Sometimes the strength comes after the words. Life and death are in the power of your tongue, and it begins in the quiet moments. The ones when no one else is around. When you are lying in bed, tears in your eyes, staring into the darkness, wondering how you will make it through another day. That is when what you whisper to yourself matters most. That is when you say, "I may be down, but I am not defeated. I may be tired, but I am not finished. I may be hurting, but healing is already in motion." Say it, believe it. Keep breathing truth into yourself until your spirit starts to rise again. That is how warriors are made, not in the grand gestures, but word by word, thought by thought. If you want to stay strong in any season, you must master the one battle that follows you everywhere, your own mind. Because if you win that battle, everything else starts to fall into place. Once you learn to speak life into your own soul, no outside voice can take that away. You become solid, you become steady, you become someone who walks into chaos and brings calm. Someone who enters storms with peace. Someone who faces doubt with a quiet, unshakable confidence. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. That strength has always been inside you. It has just been waiting for your voice to rise up and match it. And now, you know. You've started to win the war inside, but what happens when you have to show up in the world, scars and all, and prove it? So you're learning to win the war inside your mind. But now, life demands you show up, and not as a perfect, polished version of yourself. No, there will be times, maybe you're in one right now, when your heart feels like it's been shattered into pieces so small, they don't even look familiar anymore. When the weight of a loss, a betrayal, a rejection, or a failure feels like a physical force, pressing down on your chest, stealing the very breath from your lungs. You feel this, don't you? In those moments, the simple act of showing up feels like the hardest thing in the world. You want to disappear, to run away from everything, even from yourself. But hear this clearly, these are the moments that shape you, not the easy ones, not the applause, not the victories, the broken ones. Because showing up while you are still bleeding, that takes a kind of strength that rarely gets seen. A strength that isn't flashy, isn't loud, but is deep. It's lasting, it's real. You do not wait until you feel whole to keep going. You move anyway, you fight anyway, you rise anyway. There is raw power in simply standing when everything in you wants to collapse. There is colossal courage in facing the world when your soul just wants to shut it out completely. Think about that. And do not ever believe that being broken makes you weak. Your brokenness is proof that you have lived, that you have loved, that you have hoped, that you have dared to care. The ones with the most scars are the ones who have been through the fire. And the fact that you are still here, still breathing, still trying, That alone makes you extraordinary. You do not have to be perfect. You do not have to have it all together. Just show up, bruised, messy, hurting, but present. That alone is a revolution. In a world that tells you to be quiet about your pain, to hide your struggles behind a filter, choosing to show up real is an act of defiance. People will say, take time to heal. And yes, rest is necessary, it's sacred, but do not confuse healing with hiding. Do not confuse waiting with quitting. Healing doesn't happen in the shadows, it happens when you move. You have to get up, even when you are limping. You have to take the next step even when your legs are shaking so badly you think they'll give way. Because healing is not passive, it is active. It's a fight. And every time you show up broken, you remind your pain that it does not have the final say. You tell the storm, I am still here. You tell the shame, you have no hold on my voice. You tell the fear, you may visit but you do not get to stay. That is what showing up broken does. It returns your power. And some days, that power may look like a whisper, just getting out of bed. Other days it may look like a roar, delivering the presentation, loving your family, chasing the dream. But either way, you show up. You do not have to wait to be whole to be worthy. This world will try to convince you that you have to look perfect, feel strong, smile constantly to be accepted. But that's not strength, that's performance. Real strength is choosing to keep going even when you don't feel ready. Real strength is showing up real. True strength is found in showing up as you are. It's walking into a new day while the tears from last night still linger on your face. It's choosing to work, to love your family, to chase your dreams even when your heart is still in a million pieces, trying to find its way back together. It's making that call when you don't feel like speaking. It's praying when your faith feels weak, thin, and barely holding on. That is not failure, that is real, that is human, and that is exactly where your power lives. Not in the polished, perfect moments, but in the raw, unfiltered, messy ones. You are allowed to be both hurting and hopeful. You are allowed to feel like you're in pieces and still move forward with fierce intention. Never underestimate the sheer courage it takes to face life while feeling broken. It is easy to show up when things are smooth, but the ones who keep showing up when everything feels like it's falling apart, they are the quiet champions. They might not get recognition, they might not be celebrated, but heaven sees them, and their future self will thank them. Because showing up broken teaches you lessons that wholeness never could. It reveals the iron in your spirit, the depth of your resilience, the unshakable truth of your identity. You stop waiting for ideal conditions. You stop waiting for the pain to end. You look in the mirror and you say, this is who I am right now, and I'm showing up anyway. That is freedom. That is healing. That is transformation. You are not disqualified by your brokenness. You are being shaped by it. The cracks in your soul are not signs of failure. They are the places where the light gets in, where grace enters, where empathy is born. Because the ones who have tasted sorrow, who have walked through pain and disappointment, they are the ones who carry real wisdom. They lead with compassion. They connect on a soul-deep level. So do not hide your brokenness. Do not wait to be perfect before you live fully. The world does not need more filters or masks. It needs your truth, your courage, your story. Being broken does not mean the end. It means you are alive. It means your story is still unfolding, filled with fire, determination, and an unshakable spirit. You have cried through nights no one saw. You have made it through days you thought would break you. And yet here you are, maybe tired, maybe scarred, maybe uncertain, but still here. That matters more than you know. That is evidence of your strength. And even if you feel like there is nothing left in you, even if each breath feels heavy, keep going. One moment at a time, one step at a time. Show up for your healing, for your future, for the story that is still being written with your name on it. You do not need to sprint. You do not need to run. Just keep moving. Crawl if you must. Whisper if you cannot speak, but do not stop. Every step you take while broken becomes a monument to your strength. There will be people who do not understand. People who ask why you are still trying, still believing, still pushing forward after all you've been through. Let them ask. They are not built like you. They do not carry your vision. They have not heard your prayers. They do not know what still burns in your chest. So do not wait for their approval. Do not look for their permission. Keep showing up with your pain, with your hope, with your relentless drive, because that persistence, that stubborn, gritty persistence, will turn into breakthrough. That pain will become purpose. That brokenness will become your testimony. And the world will witness what was being built in the fire all along. You are being reshaped, refined, renewed, through every tear, every battle, every sleepless night. As painful as it feels, this breaking is not the end. It is the beginning of a deeper, stronger, freer version of you. One who is not driven by other people's opinions, one who has nothing to prove and everything to live for, one who walks with a quiet confidence because they have been tested by life and have chosen to rise. That version of you is on the way. And the only way to meet them is to keep showing up even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. The ones who rise while still healing are not just survivors, they are lights in the dark. So keep going, because your breakthrough will not come from perfection. It will be born through your persistence. But this path you're on, it wasn't meant to be walked alone. The next choice you make about who stands with you will determine everything. So here you stand, at the crossroads between the person you were and the person you were always meant to become. There comes a moment in life, this moment right now, when you realize that growth, healing, and success are not a solo mission. They are a chorus. It's not only about what you do, but about who walks with you, who stands beside you when the ground gives way, who speaks life into your silence when your hope is fading, who celebrates your victories without envy and stays through your losses without judgment. Look around you. Your circle is your ecosystem. Not everyone in your space is there to support your purpose. Some are weeds. They look harmless, even beautiful, but their roots are shallow, and their purpose is to drain. They drain your energy, your time, your belief. They hide behind smiles while secretly hoping you fall, because your light exposes their comfort with darkness. Then there are warriors. The ones who see the battle in your eyes and pick up a sword to stand beside you. The ones who believe in your vision even when you're ready to throw in the towel. The ones who correct you not to shame you, but to sharpen you. You have to be intentional. This isn't about judgment, it's about protection. Your purpose is too sacred, too precious, to be surrounded by voices that distract, diminish, or discourage you. You were not born to shrink for someone else's comfort. You were born to rise, and rising requires a tribe of people who will speak strength when you feel weak, who will remind you of your greatness when life tries to bury it. Weeds grow fast and blend in easily, but over time they choke everything that matters. That's what toxic people do. They may wear the mask of friendship or family, but their presence drains your spirit. Their words plant fear. Their behavior pulls you backward. If you are not careful, they will have you doubting your worth, pausing your dreams, lowering your standards, all just to keep a peace that is not peace but a prison. You have to be brave enough to do what many avoid. Cut the weeds, even if they've been there for years, even if it hurts. You cannot rise in life if your environment is full of people committed to staying small. Now, look at the warriors. Warriors don't compete with you. They complete you. They challenge you to grow. They confront your excuses. They don't cater to your fears. They remind you of your strength. A real warrior will see you at your breaking point and not look away. They will get in the trench with you. They will pray for you when you have no words left. They will speak hope into you when your faith is a flickering ember. That is a warrior circle. Some people only love you when you're easy to love, when you're smiling, successful, strong. But the ones who love you when you're messy, uncertain, and breaking down, Those are the ones you hold close. Warriors are not scared of your darkness. They don't run from your vulnerability. They stay, they lift, they help you fight back. The people around you are either watering your purpose or poisoning your progress. There is no middle ground. You have to choose. Do you want applause from those who keep you small, or accountability from those who call you higher? Do you want company that lets you stay comfortable, or connection that challenges you to grow? Because you cannot soar if you keep tying your wings to people who are afraid of heights. You were never meant to shrink to fit into tight spaces. You were meant to spread your wings wide. And that means surrounding yourself with people who make space for your growth, who celebrate your expansion. Some of the people in your life right now don't want to see you rise. It's not always malice. Sometimes it's because your rising holds a mirror to their own settledness. Your growth exposes their avoidance. Your boldness reminds them of the dreams they abandoned. And rather than rise with you, they will try to pull you down. They will tell you to be more realistic. They will mock your vision. Not because it's weak, but because deep down they know it's strong. And that truth unsettles them. You have to understand this. Not everyone is meant to walk with you forever. Some people were only meant for a chapter, not the full story. Holding on to them past their time keeps you trapped in cycles you were meant to outgrow. Loyalty is powerful, but blind loyalty is dangerous. Just because someone walked with you in the past doesn't mean they re-equipped for your future. Elevation requires evaluation. Stop asking, do they love me? Start asking, do they challenge me? Do they support my growth? Do they respect my purpose? Because the voices you allow to speak into your present will architect your future. This isn't just about friendships. This is about legacy. You don't reach your full potential by walking alone, but you don't find freedom by walking with the wrong people either. You need alignment. You need truth. You need the courage to make changes even when it's hard. Growth requires pruning. And yes, pruning is painful. It leaves open wounds where something once was. But it is also necessary. One of the hardest truths you will ever face is realizing that some people are only committed to the old version of you. They can't handle the version that is healing, growing, dreaming, and becoming. And that's okay. But if you keep shrinking yourself to keep them close, you will betray the future you were born for. You weren't put here to manage someone else's insecurities. You have a purpose to fulfill, dreams to chase, a legacy to build. So build your circle with purpose. Surround yourself with people who see your scars and still respect your strength. People who feel your heart, not just hear your words. Warriors live with integrity. They lead with love. And they never, ever let you forget the power that lives inside you. Energy is contagious. That's not just a phrase, it's a law. Spend enough time with people who complain, and you'll start to complain. Stay around those who gossip, and you'll feed off that negativity. But walk with warriors, those who speak purpose, who push through pain, who fall and still rise, you'll begin to rise too. Warriors don't seek the spotlight. Their presence alone shifts the atmosphere. You'll feel safer, stronger, more grounded, and you'll begin to rise. Not because you were forced, but because you were inspired. That is the power of your environment. You were not meant to walk this path alone, but you were also never meant to carry dead weight. Every new season of your life demands a new level of you, and with that, a new circle. Don't be afraid to outgrow people. Don't feel guilty for raising your standards. You're not being harsh. You're being clear. And clarity is a form of kindness. This is your life, your calling, your legacy, and who you allow close enough to influence your spirit will shape your story more than you can possibly imagine. Choose people who will walk through battles with you, people who pray when you're silent, people who remind you of your strength when you feel weak, because when life hits, and it will, you won't just rise alone, you'll rise supported. There's a difference between breathing and living, between surviving and rising. Too many people wake up every day just to make it through, to check boxes, to get by. But you weren't born just to survive. You weren't created to crawl through life waiting for the pain to stop. There is power inside of you that the world hasn't even seen yet. There is greatness buried beneath your fear, beneath your fatigue, beneath your wounds, and that greatness is ready to rise. But rising isn't comfortable. It means letting go of survival mode. It means refusing to let your past write the end of your story. It means standing up, scars on full display, and saying, yes, I've been through it. Yes, I've been knocked down, but this is not where it ends. That is what rising looks like. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up with purpose. It's about deciding that no matter what yesterday held, today you will take one more step toward who you were meant to be. You've made it through things that could have broken you. Do not overlook that. You've endured heartbreak, betrayal, loss. You've survived your own self-doubt, your own sabotage. That matters. That is not weakness. That is proof of your strength, even if you didn't feel strong in the moment. But survival is only the beginning. It's step one. It's where you catch your breath. After you survive, you face a choice. Will you rebuild? Will you rise? Will you grow? Or will you stay in the same pain simply because it's familiar? Some people hold on to survival like it's their identity. And at one point, it served them. It kept you breathing. But if you stay in that space too long, you'll miss the chance to become who you were always meant to be. Because beyond survival is the life you were created to live. Survival feels safe. It feels like control. You keep your guard up, you avoid risk, you avoid deep emotion. And sure, that protects you from pain, but it also keeps you from joy. It keeps you from love, it keeps you from purpose. It keeps you from the version of yourself who doesn't just endure, but who thrives, who dares, who believes, who chases after something more. You weren't made to go numb. You weren't made just to make it. There is more in you. But to find that more, you have to challenge the beliefs that survival mode taught you. Beliefs like staying small is safer. Risk leads to regret. Hope is foolish. You have to face those lies and say with confidence, not anymore. You are not here to stay stuck in what happened. You are here to grow into the strength it built. You are here to become a force, shaped by pain, but not defined by it. You've seen people come out of storms not just alive, but radiant. Not because they were lucky, but because they made a decision. They took their pain and they used it. They let it mold them. They decided that if they were still breathing, they were still building. And you have that same strength in you. You might have forgotten it, but it's still there. Somewhere along the way, the world tried to convince you that survival was all you deserved, that healing was impossible, that peace wasn't for people like you. But hear this, as if hearing it for the first time. Your future is not cancelled just because your past was hard. You still get to write new chapters. You still get to turn the page. You still get to become someone you've never been, not in spite of what you've been through, but because of it. Do not let your past become your ceiling. Let it be your floor. Let it be the ground you rise from. Survival mode teaches you to expect loss. It trains you to assume good things are temporary. It tells you not to trust peace. And eventually, that mindset becomes your normal. You start preparing for heartbreak before love arrives. You push opportunities away before they can disappoint you. You reject people before they have the chance to leave. That's not living. That's bracing for loss. And if all you do is prepare to lose, you'll never learn how to win. You've got to retrain your spirit. You've got to teach your soul how to believe again. Believe that you're not cursed. Believe that your best days are ahead. Believe that you're not too late, not too broken, not too far gone. You're just getting started. But starting takes courage. It takes the courage to take a step without knowing the outcome. It takes the courage to forgive yourself, to release the version of you that was only trying to survive. Survival kept you breathing. Now it's time to start living. Understand this. Rising doesn't mean you won't fall again. It doesn't mean you won't cry. It doesn't mean you won't struggle. It means you keep getting back up. It means you keep fighting for your peace. You keep reaching for your purpose. When life tries to bury you, you push through the dirt and you stretch toward the sun. You may still have scars. That's okay. They are not something to hide. They are proof. Proof that you made it, that you healed, that you chose to keep going. Your scars are not a weakness. They are a testimony. Let them speak. Let them be the reason someone else decides to rise. Let them light the way to your next chapter, because you're not just a survivor. You are a teacher. You are a warrior. You are a light. Don't let the weight of life make you forget who you are. Just because it's been heavy doesn't mean it's hopeless. Heavy means you've been carrying something, and what you carry can build strength. If you listen closely, every new day is a chance to shift from surviving to rising. Ask yourself the hard questions. Am I just getting by? Or am I becoming who I was born to be? Are my habits leading me toward healing, or am I staying small to avoid risk? Am I letting fear make my decisions, or am I stepping out in faith? These are the questions that transform lives, and you deserve to ask them, because if you don't, you may one day realize you built a life out of fear, when you were always meant to build it with faith. Don't let that be your story. Don't let comfort steal your calling. Don't let surviving convince you that thriving is for someone else. Thriving is for you. It always has been. You just needed to remember. The people around you may not understand why you're changing, why you're letting go of your old story, why you're no longer satisfied with just getting by. That's okay. You're not rising for their approval. You're rising because you were born to. You're rising because something inside of you is tired of settling, tired of shrinking, tired of pretending that fine is enough. You're not average. You're not meant to blend in. You were made to rise. And sometimes that rise will be quiet. Sometimes it will be lonely. Sometimes it will be misunderstood. But the view from the top is worth every step it took to get there. So keep climbing, keep building, keep becoming. This isn't just a comeback, this is your awakening. Right now, someone is watching you in silence. They're hoping you don't give up. They're hoping you show them that healing is real, that life after loss still has meaning, that joy can live after pain. Your rise is not just about you, it's about everyone who will find hope in the fact that you kept going, that you didn't let the past write your ending, that you chose to believe in new beginnings. You are the seed, and seeds grow in the dark. You're growing right now, even if it doesn't feel like it, even if you can't see it yet. You're becoming something powerful, something steady, something sacred. So do not stop. The world needs the version of you that doesn't just breathe, but burns. No one comes through life untouched. We all carry cuts from betrayal, heartbreak, loss, failure, and those cuts leave scars. Some people hide their scars. They cover them. They numb them. They pretend they don't exist. But that isn't strength, that's avoidance. And avoidance becomes a prison. It keeps you locked inside pain that already happened. But your scars are not something to be ashamed of. They are proof. They say, I've been through something, but I didn't stay there. I healed. I grew. I moved forward. That is power. That is your legacy. Your scars are not ugly. They are not a sign of weakness. They are symbols of survival. They are reminders of grace. They are marks of redemption. Don't let the world silence you. Don't let anyone make you believe that your past disqualifies you. What you think discredits you is actually what makes you unstoppable. What looked like it was breaking you was really building you. Let your scars speak. Let them tell the truth. Not about the pain, but about your strength. Not about the wound, but about your wisdom. Not about what you lost, but about the life that came after. Every scar tells a story, and you get to decide what kind of story it tells. Some people carry their scars like chains. They relive the pain. They let it shape their relationships. They let it haunt their peace. But others? The ones who choose to rise, they carry their scars as evidence. They say, this happened, but it didn't end me. It didn't define me, it made me. That's the difference. The pain you've been through can either hold you back or move you forward. That decision is yours. You don't have to forget what happened. You don't have to pretend it didn't hurt. But you do have to choose. Will you keep bleeding, or will you start leading? Will you stay tied to the moment you broke, or will you rise from it and become unbreakable? The scar on your heart is sacred. It's the place where pain once lived, but where it no longer controls you. And in that healing, there is a message that someone else needs. Right now, there is someone drowning in the pain you already survived. They need proof that life continues, that hope can return, that joy is not gone forever, and that proof is you. That's why your story matters. That's why your scar matters. You are someone's light in the dark. You are the voice that says, I've been there and I'm still standing. But to be that light, you have to stop hiding your hurt. Stop running from your truth. Look your story in the face and say, you made me wiser. You made me stronger. You made me who I am. That is where healing lives. That is where shame loses its grip. That is where freedom begins. Your scars cannot control you if you choose to carry them with purpose. They only hold power over you when you pretend they don't exist. Some of your wounds might still be fresh. Some might still ache. Maybe you don't even have the words to talk about them yet. That's okay. Healing is not a performance. It's a process. You're allowed to take your time. You're allowed to cry. You're allowed to feel the pain. But don't unpack your life in that pain. Don't settle in the place where you were broken. You don't owe your wounds a permanent home. You owe yourself movement. You owe yourself freedom. The world may have left you fractured, but your healing is your defiance. Choosing to get better is your quiet revolution. The moment you say, this will not be the end of me, you take back your power. You step into a new space, one where your scars no longer whisper weakness, but declare survival. You don't need to have all the answers. You only need to make one choice. I will not be defined by what tried to destroy me. You were not born to live like a victim. You were born to be a vessel of strength. When you let your scars tell your story, you stop pretending. You stop hiding behind perfection. You show up with truth. You show up with vulnerability. And that's where true connection is born. Because people don't relate to perfection. They connect through struggle. They're not drawn to the image of a perfect life. They're drawn to honesty, to the person who says, I've been there too. Your scars can be the bridge between isolation and belonging. They say, I've been broken, but I'm not ashamed of it. That kind of truth creates change. It invites others to let go of shame. It breaks cycles. It sets people free. So many of us wear masks to protect ourselves. But healing begins when the mask comes off. When we say, this is who I am. This is what I faced. And this is how I'm still rising. Letting your scars be seen isn't weakness, it's courage, it's truth. And it doesn't just free you, it frees the people around you too. Too many are living in silence, convinced no one will understand their pain. But silence feeds shame, and shame thrives in the dark. It grows in secrecy. But the moment you speak, the moment you share, shame loses its grip. You say, I won't be controlled by my past anymore. That's when your scars shift from symbols of trauma to symbols of transformation. The pain can't be used against you when you're no longer ashamed of it. The world can't mock what you've already made peace with. So speak, write, create, share your truth. Turn your wounds into something meaningful. That's what people who rise do. They don't stay bitter, they build. They don't wait to be fully healed before they start helping others. They move forward with what they have and trust that purpose will walk with them along the way. You were never meant to be flawless. You were meant to be real. And real people break, but they also rebuild. They rise, they grow. Don't spend your life trying to erase what you've been through. Embrace it. Own it. Use it. The version of you who made it through your hardest days holds a strength no lesson can teach, no quote can capture. That strength came from pain, from experience, from survival. So stop apologizing, stop shrinking so others can stay comfortable. You didn't survive just to play it safe. You survived so you could live with power, so your life could speak. When someone asks you what shaped you, show them the scar. Say, this one right here. This is where I almost gave up, but I didn't. That's not weakness, that's legacy. Now think about this. If your scars could speak, what would they say? Would they tell the story of nights you cried but didn't quit? Of the days you wanted to give up but chose to keep going? Of the time you trusted again, even after being betrayed? Your scars are full of truth. They carry strength. And when you stop seeing them as flaws and start seeing them as sacred, everything changes. You stop hiding. You stop playing small. You stop apologizing for who you've become. You start living with boldness, with authenticity, with purpose. You look in the mirror and see resilience, not ruin. You stand taller. You lead with grace. You love with depth. Because those who've been through the fire and found healing, they move through life differently. They see with clearer eyes. They lead with deeper wisdom. And that kind of person cannot be stopped. Nothing the world throws at you can undo who you've already become. You may not be proud of every moment in your past. You may carry regrets. You may have chapters you wish you could skip or rewrite. But even with all of that, you are still worthy. You are still chosen. You are still called. Every part of your journey, even the messy, complicated, broken parts, has a place in your purpose. You're not here by accident. You are here with intention. You are here on assignment. And part of that assignment is turning pain into power. Turning the past into purpose. Turning your scars into strength. You don't need to be perfect to make an impact. You don't have to have all the answers to make a difference. What you need is willingness. A willingness to rise, to heal, to speak, to move forward even when it hurts, because your scars are not chains, they are testimonies. And when you carry them with truth and courage, they don't weigh you down, they lift you, they become wings. If you're still here, if you're still standing, then I know you felt the weight of this journey. You've carried burdens no one else saw. You fought battles no one celebrated. You've woken up on days when hope felt far and strength felt fake. But you kept showing up. You kept breathing. You kept pressing forward. That alone speaks volumes. That alone makes you a warrior. But now it's time to move beyond survival. It's time to rise into the version of you this world needs. Not the one shaped by fear. Not the one stuck in old patterns or paralyzed by rejection. But the one who remembers their purpose. The one who knows they were made for more. That's where your power has been waiting. You weren't created to live in constant survival mode. You were made with a fire that can ignite hope, shift atmospheres, and light the way for others. That fire is real, but it needs your permission to burn. It needs your choice. Even if you feel broken, even if you've lost pieces of yourself along the way, even if people walked away, you still have the power to show up. To choose growth, to speak to yourself with compassion, to stand beside people who build you up, not break you down. You still have the authority to change your story, to look at your pain and say, you are not the end of me, you are the beginning of something new. Let this be your reminder. You are not here to simply survive. You are here to expand, to rise, to love more deeply, to live more fully, to shine more boldly. The world doesn't need a perfect version of you. It needs the raw, honest, resilient you. The you who got back up with shaking hands and a heart on fire. The you who chose not to let trauma define your legacy. The you who let scars speak of survival, not surrender. You are not here just to build a life. You are here to build a legacy, one of healing, of hope, of strength. And everything you need is already inside you, not later. Not when you finally feel ready, not when it's all safe and certain, but right now, in this moment. So choose it, declare it. I will not shrink, I will not run, I will not wait for someone else to save me, because the truth is, I already have what I need to rise. And when you do rise, when you walk with purpose, when you carry your story without shame, you give others permission to rise too. That's the ripple effect. That's the power of living fully. That's what legacy looks like. You were never born just to survive. You were born to lead. You were born to lift others. You were born to live a life that's awake and alive. Thank you for letting these words speak into your life. May your heart stay steady, your path stay clear, and your soul remain strong. You are more powerful than you know and more needed than you can imagine. Keep going, keep rising. The world tried to bury you. They didn't know they were planting a seed.